What happened? I mean, seriously, what happened? I mean, you had a kick-ass, sweet movie that was successful both critically and financially, and then you put this piece of shit out 9 years later? Really? I mean, Superman 3 was bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't this piece of shit. If I want it to go away, he's going to have to review it. The Superman 4. Now, I hate this movie. I really, really hate this movie. I mean, I didn't like Superman 3. And while I don't like Superman Returns, I still do enjoy some stuff from it. This movie, oh god, this movie. This is undeniably the worst out of the Superman film franchise. And just saying that is just putting it lightly. That's not even scratching the surface. This is the Batman and Robin of the fucking Superman film series. But even give Batman and Robin credit. At least Batman and Robin is so bad it's actually enjoyable and funny at parts. This is so bad, it pisses me off. It really pisses me off. And it got me mad. I mean, fucking A. The first movie was amazing. The second movie wasn't all that great, but I still did enjoy it. It had a kick-ass director's cut, which definitely made me forgive it a little bit more. The third movie, again, I didn't like it, but I didn't absolutely fucking despise it. Like, this piece of shit. But you know what? I'm gonna get into some of the things that are bad first. Yeah, this movie pissed me off and got me so mad that instead of going ahead and looking at some of the good stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and look at some of the bad stuff first. One are the effects. The effects of this movie are fucking horrendous. And I know, probably a lot of people will be saying, oh, well, the effects weren't that great in 1987. You gotta give it some credit. Well, you know what? No, I'm not giving this movie any bit of credit. Besides the three little things that I do like about it. I mean, this movie came out in 1987, and the effects were horseshit. And the reason why that pisses me off more than it should is that the effects in the first movie, you know, the one released in 1978, the one that came out 9 years before this movie came out in 1987. The first movie came out in 1978, 9 years before this movie, and the effects in that movie were phenomenal. They were amazing, and they were absolutely awesome. And they were probably groundbreaking for the time that that movie was released. But this movie comes out 9 years later, and you think that the effects by that time would be perfected, and that they would be great. Pfft. Yeah, fuck no. Wrong, Lex Luthor. Wrong. The effects in this are horse shit. Half the shit looks like it was photoshopped. And even a fucking first grader Photoshop artist could do better than this piece of shit movie did. I mean, the effects in this are horrendous. And again, it pisses me off because the first movie came out 9 years before this movie, and those effects should have been what the effects were here. The effects here should have been pretty much perfected like the other Superman movies. But no! This movie's effects are a piece of shit. Like, any time that any character is flying around, like Superman or Nuclear Man or whoever, the effects and just the way that their costumes look, they look gray, they look faded. Where's the colorful, you know, bright Superman costume? He has like three of the most distinctive primary colors on his body. But whenever we see him flying, doing what we want to see Superman do, his costume looks gray and depressing. It looks like Tim Burton took over the direction. Oh wait, he almost did. I'll get to that next video. But the effects are horrible, and it pisses me off because the effects in the first movie, and even the second, and even a little bit of the third, were amazing. And they came out a few years before this movie did. And this movie, the one that was most recent against those movies, had the worst effects. The worst! The fourth movie in your franchise should have the best effects. If that's the last movie that you're doing, fuck this movie. But that's not another reason to hate it. Another reason is the villain, Lex Luthor. Now, Gene Hackman does return to reprise his role, as well as many other supporting casts from the first couple movies, such as Margot Kidder or Jackie Cooper, and again, Gene Hackman. But Why Lex Luthor again for a third time in a row, and hell, even a fourth time if you count Ross Webster in the third Superman movie, which was pretty much just a giant ripoff of the character Lex Luthor. But for a third time, you have Lex Luthor as your villain. What can he possibly do here that he didn't do in the other movies? I'll tell you what he's going to do in this movie, well, even, watching the movie. He's going to come up with a plan, Superman's going to stop him, throw him in jail, the end! Fucking, oh man, I must be a fucking genius. Give me a bunch of money and I'll predict your fucking futures. I mean, why him again? Like, why not come up with an awesome, cool villain? And that's my biggest problem with the original Superman franchise, that the new Man of Steel franchise better get right. Stop fucking reusing and redoing villains, either redoing them or bringing them back or redoing the idea of the villain with just a different fucking coat of paint on it. The new Man of Steel franchise better stop using the same villain over and over again. We had Lex Luthor twice before. Why bring him back for a third time? In the second movie, it made sense for him to be there. And this, no reason. You could have had any villain be in this movie. Why not Bizarro, Brainiac, Darkseid? Any of those villains would have been way better than fucking Lex Luthor again. The only movie that doesn't have him is fucking the third movie. And, Gene Hackman, again, does a great job in his performance. He does an absolute great job. But why this character again? We've seen what he did before. And we know what's going to happen to him again. So have a better villain that can actually threaten Superman. A better villain, a badass villain. That would have definitely helped out this movie. But no, what does he do in this? He pretty much makes up a supervillain for Superman to fight that pretty much has his almost exact powers. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, because that's pretty much what he did in the second movie. He got he got a couple people, in this movie's case, one person that mimics Superman's powers to a T. So, he pretty much just redoes the plot line from Superman 2, just with one person instead. Bravo! So fucking original. Bravo! And then another problem with this movie is that it pretty much steals scenes pretty much wholesale from either the first movie or the second movie, or ideas and characters from the second movie. I mentioned that they pretty much took, the whole Lex Luthor, getting a superpowered being to fight Superman, like in the second movie, so there's that. But then we get to the big one, the worst one in my opinion, which pretty much this movie pretty much rips off the flying scene with the Superman flying with Lois at night from the first movie. In the first movie, that was a great scene, and I mentioned that it was my favorite scene out of that entire movie. That was a great scene. It was whimsical, it was enchanting, it was all around great, and had some amazing effects and performances done by Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder. Here, none of that is here. The special effects are bullshit. Again, the characters and just their clothing looks faded compared to 3 seconds ago when we saw them. It looks faded compared to the backgrounds, and the effects are horrible. And the only differences that they make are pretty much the effects are shit, which I doubt, well, that's not really a difference. That's just something that they fucked up in. And then the other difference is that it takes place during the day, not at night. And it's relatively shorter than in the first movie. But that's pretty much about it. The effects in this are so bad that they in this scene pretty much mimic the, Superman dropping Lois and then swooping down and catching her. But Lois doesn't drop down like in the first movie like any other person would falling out of the sky. She pretty much falls at like a slant. Like, literally like that. She falls like as slant, just as fucking slow. That's how bad the effects are here. Horrible. Like, again, the effects, like, isn't that like one of your biggest things to do in a Superman movie? Make sure the effects are good? Not in this movie's case. That's another reason why I fucking hate this movie. She falls at like a slant. It's like how a piece of paper falls. It just keeps on going back and forth, then it fucking falls. You're a human being, you fall straight down. You don't fall at a slant like this. You fall down and you die. Horse shit. And another thing that they rip off is, I'm trying to look. Pointless. Also, another thing that they rip off from the second movie this time around is the mining racing kiss from the second movie, which was dumb in the second movie. I still don't. Why would they rip of all the things that made the other Superman movies good? Why did they rip those off? Like, I can imagine that they ripped off some of this stuff in this movie to make their movie seem a lot more credible and to make their movie seem a lot more better. But why would you choose and why would you rip off one of the dumbest, most made fun of scenes in all of the Superman movies? That stupid mining racing kiss. I still don't understand how that works. I've still been trying to understand how that works. Does his tongue just work into her, like, brain and just, like, fucking mess shit up, or what? It doesn't make any sense. Did he just, like, fucking eat, like, a neuralizer from Men in Black? Like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense. Of all the things that you could have possibly ripped off to make your movie seem credible, you pick the one thing that pretty much everyone makes fun of, besides just spinning the fucking world back around, which I hear that they cut out like 40 minutes from this movie. Thank God. And I bet you one of those scenes that they cut out would have been the flying around so fast thing. I bet you. I bet you. It was stupid. And it's even pointless. The whole last scene when Superman, uses the mighty racing kiss makes the whole last scene pointless because Clark Kent reveals that he's Superman to Lois Lane when he jumps off a balcony, and then after they're done flying, he just erases her mind with the mighty racing kiss. Why? What was the point of that scene? There was no point to have that scene at all. It was pointless. It was fucking stupid. And again, it doesn't make any sense why you would have the stupid mighty racing kiss there. That whole last scene didn't matter, even though it just happened and wasted probably like a minute of your time. Kind of like the rest of this movie wasted an hour and a half of your time. Fuck this movie. And then we have Lex Luthor using like a certain kind of a sound, that only Superman can hear. So that Superman, can fly up to Lex Luthor's, secret evil hideout, which isn't really all that secret, or which isn't at all secretive here because it's in the Empire State Building. Right now, the most distinctable building in all of New York, or one of the most distinctable buildings ever. So not really all that secretive. And he pretty much uses it, to lure Superman to his, penthouse in, the Empire State Building to, tell Superman his whole big plan, which pretty much doesn't make any sense. Why would you tell him your plan? Why not just have Nuclear Man fly up behind him and just fucking punch the shit out of him? Like I want to the fucking directors and writers of this piece of shit. Oh, God, I fucking hate this movie. And then... And an evil Superman is again pretty much used in this movie, and I know, and Nuclear Man is pretty much another evil version of Superman. And I know, I'll probably have a lot of people saying, oh, he's not an evil version of Superman. Bullshit! He pretty much is an evil version of Superman. Lex Luthor pretty much gets a piece of hair from, a museum, a piece of hair that's Superman's, which... That scene doesn't make at all any sense. Like, it's on display in a museum, and it's being held up, and it's pretty much holding up these two, 1,000-pound weights. And it's just a single hair, because that's how strong Superman's hair is, apparently. It can lift up 2,000 pounds weights, and nothing can cut it. But then... A second later, literally a second later, Lex Luthor breaks into the museum and he breaks the glass that's surrounding the Superman's hair, and he just cuts it with a hedge clipper. We just said that it was fucking super strong and nothing can cut it. Nothing can even break it apart. But you just come in and you just fucking chop with a fucking hedge clipper. Consistency or continuity, doesn't matter because none of this fucking movie has it. And then going back to it pretty much is Nuclear Man. Nuclear Man pretty much is again another evil version of Superman, which, we haven't seen that before, because the only villains that we've had before are Ursa, Non, and Zod, which are from the same planet as Superman, have the exact same powers as Superman. And then in the last movie, we literally had an evil Superman, but those aren't at all evil Superman. Yes, they are, and so is this villain. Again, why not? And it's also, to add insult to injury, a made-up villain. Why? Again, you had so many Superman villains that you could possibly make and have a better movie with. Brainiac, Bizarro, do I need to say any more? No. And the villain is horrible. It is a evil Superman. We've had that before. Give us something new. It's pretty much the exact same plot line from Superman 2. It's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Stop reusing other movies. Stop doing that. It's boring. Give us something new. And Nuclear Man is... he pretty much is an exact just remodel of Zod or Ursa or whoever from the second Superman movie. And also, he is not in any way, shape, or form threatening. But he also, before I get into that, he, for some reason, is also voiced by Gene Hackman, who created him, which I don't even know what to say to that. It's pointless, but I can't really make fun of it. Like, how does he sound like him? Did Lex Luthor give him his vocal cords when he shot the rocket into the sun? No, we didn't see that, and Lex Luthor talks later in the movie, so no, that's not it at all. So, why does he sound like that? Did Gene Hackman just want another paycheck on top of his Lex Luthor paycheck, so he just wanted to play two villains in the movie? This guy named Mark Pillow, who hasn't done anything else besides this movie, plays, like, the body of, Nuclear Man, but Lex Luthor or Gene Hackman voices him. Like, why? There's no reason. It's completely pointless. Kind of like this movie in general, it's pointless! And then... again, and going back to the, Nuclear Man is not at all threatening. He is so ridiculous and just stupid looking. Like, he has a mullet, he has, like, the red and, like, yellow and black suit, which makes him look like He-Man or Thor, like the sleeveless arms and all that shit, and, which, it just makes him look really silly and really stupid, which, by the way, how did he get that suit? Like, Lex Luthor mentions that he put a computer in the little, in like, the fabric that was going to make his, clothing, and the computer would weave a fucking suit out of, like, 2 snips of, like, fabric. It can weave an entire fucking bodysuit from 2 pieces of, like, fabric from, like, these little, like, boa things or some shit. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. How did he get a suit from just, like, 2 little pieces of fabric that got shot into the sun? Oh, God. Wouldn't the computer be, like, just messed up because it's a nuclear missile, and not only that, but being shot in the sun? I don't know. I'm getting off topic. And not only that, but he has these, like, these acrylic push-on fake nails. Like, these acrylic push-on, like, metallic nails that can, like, grow, and if you're scratched by them, then apparently you die of radiation sickness, which happens to Superman. Superman almost dies in this movie, and not because he got shot by a bunch of kryptonite and beaten to death, or not because he's fucking fighting Doomsday, not because he fought Doomsday and he almost died, or because he got scratched on the neck. He got scratched by some guy's fucking long-ass nails, which remind me of, like, Sabretooth from fucking Wolverine. Fuck this movie! Oh! Yeah, he's not threatening at all. I'm reading my notes right here. And then Lex Luthor has a nephew in this who's also his henchman, played by John Cryer, because when I think of Superman's greatest enemies, I think of Alan from 2.5 Men. That's totally what I think of when I think of fucking... It's the fucking villain in this movie shouldn't have been Superman. It should have been fucking Charlie Sheen. High off of fucking coke in his nose. That should have been the villain in this movie. Not Superman. John Cryer is the main villain, and fucking Charlie Sheen, he's the fucking superhero in this. He should have been Superman. Give Christopher Reeve a break. Fuck, this movie is horrible, and he's annoying as hell in this movie. He pretty much is talking like a surfer dude in this movie, like, oh, hey, Lex, hey, Uncle Lex, we gotta stop Superman before he, ruins your plan, bro. Like, pretty much like that in the whole movie. It gets annoying fast. But he's thankfully not in the movie a whole lot, but pretty much every scene that he is in makes you want to just fucking staple gun your eyelids shut. Your fucking ears, like that. It make you just want to fucking staple them. I fucking hate this movie. And then, yeah, doesn't make... And then Nuclear Man, like, later in the movie, he, like, towards the end of the movie, he sees, like, this, a newspaper with one of the supporting characters who's just thrown in this movie lazily, named Lacey. He sees, like, a newspaper with this chick named Lacey in it, and he's like, he falls in, like, love with her, and he wants to kidnap her, so he literally flies over to where she is. How he finds her, I don't fucking know. Again, consistency, this movie doesn't have any. He just finds her, and Superman's standing right there, and he's like, where is the girl? And then Superman's all like, give it up, you'll never find her. How does Superman even know who she's talking about? It's fucking, Nuclear Man could be, for all we know, talking about Rosie O'Donnell. And Superman would be like, okay, you can have her, I'm leaving. I would do the same. Oh, God, this movie's horrible. If for no reason is ever explained why he wants to kidnap her, which leads to one of the dumbest scenes in the entire movie, but I'll get to that in a minute. But it doesn't make any sense how Nuclear Man is defeated. Here's how he's defeated. Superman goes into space and pushes the moon in front of the sun because Nuclear Man can run on, like, the sun energy, and if he's not in direct contact with the sun, then he just powers down. Like a controller or remote with, like, broken batteries, or I don't know. But, you know, Superman pretty much, in order to defeat, Nuclear Man, he pushes the moon in front of the sun, which you think, that would, like, fuck up the whole Earth's wouldn't it just fuck up Earth, like, with the tidal waves and all that shit? And wouldn't blocking out the sun, like, kill everybody on the planet? No? Okay, fine then. He pretty much pushes the moon in front of the sun, and, you know, he powers down, and Superman really takes him, and he puts him, because, you know, Nuclear Man's powered down, so he takes him, flies on Earth, and throws him into a nuclear reactor, and that's where he's dead. He doesn't show up in the movie at all, so I'm considering him dead. Did you notice the plot hole there? Did you notice the big problem there? His fucking name is Nuclear Man. His name is Nuclear Man, and Superman throws him, Superman figures out that the way to stop him is to throw him into a nuclear reactor, and he doesn't at all get, like, his fucking name is Nuclear Man! You threw him into a nuclear reactor, the logical thing that would happen is, wouldn't he just suck up a bunch of, like, fucking energy? Wouldn't he just suck up, like, a bunch of nuclear radiation and get even more powerful? Again, consistency, this movie doesn't have any. And there's Nuclear Man, and you have him show up with nuclear radiation powers, and you have him thrown into a nuclear reactor, and nothing happens? He just is fucking dead? No? God, fucking movie sucks. Again, one of the dumbest moments in the movie, a big plot hole. He should just be even more powerful. He should not even rely on the sun anymore. He should just be its own powerful being. No, it just kills him and it just powers up the lights in Metropolis even more. I guess that makes sense, but the way that he's dead and that kills him, no, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's stupid. And then I get to definitely the dumbest scene in the entire movie, which is, so again, I mentioned that Nuclear Man, he shows up and, you know, he sees a picture of this chick named Lacey in the magazine, and he pretty much falls in love with her. He goes and finds her. Don't know how he found her, but he finds her. That's pretty much all you need to know. He finds her, and he literally gets her, and he literally flies into space with her. And this does not at all result in one death. He gets her, picks her up, flies into space with her, and she lives. She lives to tell the tale. No! 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 That did not fucking happen! This is a movie that's written by adults, right? Or at least I think it's fucking fucking adults. I didn't look it up. But this movie is written by fucking adults. And yeah, I know, it's a comic book movie, and there's certain things that you just have to go along with. But this is fucking logic. This is shit that kindergartners know. Babies probably know this. Dogs probably know this. Dead people that weren't even born probably know this. You do not breathe in space. You don't. You do not breathe in space. I don't care what kind of fucking logic you put in it. You do not breathe in space. Like Superman or whoever breathing in space. Yeah, I totally get that. Because it's explained. But you just fly with this fucking human person into space. And she lives. She fucking lives. She doesn't fucking die because her goddamn lungs fucking explode. No, she fucking lives to tell the tale. You could have put a fucking fishbowl over her head. I would have been like, it's stupid, yeah, but at least they explained it. Fuck this movie! But the sad thing is, that's not actually the worst part in the movie. Not the worst part. The worst part is at the end. Where Superman literally says this in front of all of the world. This, and I quote, this was written by adults. This is what the dumbest fucking moment in the movie is. There will be peace when the people of the world want it so badly that their governments will have no choice but to give it to them. I will read that again. No, I won't. What the fuck is that? People of the world want it... If there will be peace when the people of the world want it so badly that their governments will have no choice but to give it to them? Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because there's totally not a bunch of people in the world that want peace right now. That's the whole reason why we don't have peace in this world. Because we just don't want it enough. We don't have peace because, we don't have peace because of war or, different opinions or anything. The only reason why we don't have peace is because we just don't want it enough. And our government notices that we just don't want it enough. Not because of war, and the reason why we have war is because of different ideologies or anything like that. No, it's just because our government notices that we just don't want it enough. Boo! That is literally the dumbest fucking moment in this movie. And I'm not even done with this yet. I still got a couple things to say. Like Lacey, for example. What's the fucking point of even going on with this? I could just end it right here, and you can tell why I fucking despise this movie. Character Lacey in the movie there's no point for her to be in the movie. No point. She pretty much is in this movie just to create a stupid, dumb, completely, unnecessary, unfunny love triangle between her, Clark, and Lois. And it's even more funnier because Clark is going out with Lacey while Lois is going out with Clark, and of course he can't be with each other. He can't be with both of them because, well, he's only one person, even though he's Clark Kent and Superman. Why don't you use that fucking trick from the second movie where you could apparently make multiple versions of yourself like fucking Loki from Thor, the Avengers? Why don't you do that, dickhead? Also, why does every love interest in these movies have L? Like, their name starts with L. Like, Lana Lang, Lois Lane, then Lacey Warfield. The whole subplot with the Warfields, too, it is so fucking pointless. Like, it's completely solved off-screen, and I wrote this somewhere. It's completely solved off-screen and pretty much affects none of the characters, so it's entirely pointless. Like, Perry White, who's the, manager of the Daily Planet or whatever, the main, editor-in-chief, he pretty much goes off screen. He's like, I'm going to get a loan and buy all the, important shares for the Daily Planet. And I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I would actually much rather, I would much rather watch a movie where Perry White is literally just sitting there in a fucking bank asking the bank people to get a loan. I would much rather watch that. This piece of shit. Do I need to go back to explain more? Chick goes in space. She lives. Apparently the only reason why we don't have peace is because we just don't want enough, and our government just doesn't notice that. They notice that we don't want peace. I would much rather just see, we got Lawrence Fishburne playing Perry White in the new Superman movies. We get a spin-off movie with him. That'd be sweet. Morpheus is Perry White. It's awesome. Come on. I literally think that's about it. Well, there were the things that I did like. Christopher Reeves will be the only absolutely amazing thing about these Superman movies that pretty much went through all the Superman movies. He tried his fucking heart out, and rest in peace. I pretty much dedicate all of Super Month to him, because like Richard, in the words of Richard Donner, if it wasn't for him, we truly would have never believed that man could fly. And I'm saying this now because this is the last Superman movie that has Christopher Reeves in it, and I really want to thank you, Christopher Reeves, and God rest your soul. You are I hope you're up in heaven doing whatever. You were great Superman, the best Superman. And he obviously was trying his hardest in this movie, even though he pretty much knew that this was just going to be the death of the franchise. He tried his heart out, and he was professional, and he just, was absolutely amazing in this. And the same can be said with everyone else. They obviously knew that this was just the death of the franchise. This was, the franchise was going to go nowhere with this afterwards. And they pretty much tried their fucking heart out, and they just did a great job with, Margot Kidder, Jackie Cooper, Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeves. They were all great. And they were great in these movies, and I feel very, very sorry to them, to the many things that had happened to them from here on out, such as Margot Kidder's, mental issues, and Christopher Reeve's, accident, and also his death. Yeah. And Gene Hackman was awesome as Lex Luthor. And then also, get supporting cast again. And the supporting cast actually shows up in this movie instead of being completely absent for no fucking reason in Superman 3. So that was good. In the film, even though it is only like an hour and a half, it feels relatively shorter, like by an hour. So maybe the directors are like, I heard that they cut like 40 minutes out of this, so thank God for that. But maybe the director was like, yeah, it's still a piece of shit. Let's just make it feel like it's only an hour, even though it's an hour and a half. So I guess that's good. But also the green energy module that Clark Kent gets at the beginning of the movie from the Kent farm and the hidden ship at Kent farm, it looks exactly like the green crystal that was in the first Superman movie that helped make the Fortress of Solitude. Was that the same crystal? Did they just fuck up and not watch the other movies? I have no idea. But the budget was $17 million. It got cut in half. It was supposed to be like a lot more. Oh, yeah, and then the whole Superman, walking into the, what's it called, the United Nations, probably, like, the third dumbest scene. You can make trading cards out of the fucking stupid scenes in this movie. But, pretty much, he walks into the United Nations and says, I'm just going to take away all of the world's nuclear weapons, and there's your problem. And not a single person disagreed with that at all. Not one person said, you know what, maybe I want to keep my nuclear weapons. Maybe I have a good reason for that. Not one. It's just that easy. Apparently anyone can go ahead and go before the United Nations and say, nuclear weapons are bad, and have them and have everyone agree with that, and have them all taken away. But that never happened before. No one ever had come to that fucking new, that revolutionary new idea that, hey, maybe those things that fucking kill a billion people are a bad thing. No one had ever done that before until Superman came up. Okay, and then if it was that easy to get rid of nuclear weapons just to say, hey, they're bad, and they all get taken away, why was there a conflict to begin with? Why was there a nuclear arms race to begin with? But that's pretty much it. That pretty much is, I'm done with the Superman film franchise that starred Christopher Reeves and Margot Kidder and Gene Hackman. I'm done with that. Now, the next video I'm going to do isn't going to be Superman Returns. I will do Superman Returns. Don't worry about that. But the next video I'm going to do, I will be focusing on the many attempts that were tried during Superman, from Superman, The Quest for Peace to Superman Returns. Because it's very infamous among many fans that this was a big deal, back in the 90s. They did try to go ahead and do a Superman movie, which was Superman Reborn and then Superman Lives. And I'll go into more and I'll talk about that because it is really interesting and I found a lot of information on it. I really would like to do another video, do a video on it. So yeah, I will go ahead and do that video next, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do Superman Returns, and then Man of Steel comes up on Friday, and I will do a video on that, my first impressions on that. So then, that about wraps up the Christopher Reeves Superman movies, and I just want to say, Christopher Reeves, you did an amazing job as Superman, rest in peace. And, yeah. So, that about sums it up, and I will see you guys next time when I talk about Superman Reborn / Superman Lives, starring Nicolas Cage. Thank God that movie never happened.